Call the meeting to order. Was the meeting properly announced?
Yes, it was.
Please rise for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Clerk will take roll.
Krug is excused. Dozel and Carlson will be attending via Zoom. All other members present.
Okay, we have the agenda before us. Entertain a motion to approve by Supervisor Mullins, second by Supervisor Edwards. Any discussion or questions on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay. The agenda is approved. We have the minutes from June 27th, committee as a whole, and the county board minutes. Entertain a motion to approve by Supervisor Mullins, second by Supervisor Scott Pease. Any discussion or questions on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay. Minutes are approved from the June 27th meetings. Public participation signed up. Okay, we don't have any public participation signed up. Clerk, please read announcement of meetings.
Churchill 48460, Paler 63251, Gilner 35886, Wimmer 17550, SPs 49895, Carvillo 18465, Egersdorf 40334, Bork 28430, Edwards 165, RPs 220, West 92393, Moans 31572, Gabarsky 43360, Carlson 36681, Baker 24360, McLaughlin 24622, Benkowski 43480, Beaversdorf 55, Kraus 9692, Knockreiner 330, Olson 55, Olson Martz 55, BPs 55, Robertson 12048, Time 6941, Townsend 55, Waugh 55, total 7,319.20.
Okay, thank you. We have correspondence from the Historical Society and the board packet. There's no action to be taken there, but and then when the clerk is ready, please read the appointments.
Mary Lou Paler appointed as citizen representative by the Adams County Lake Alliance.
Motion by Supervisor Rick P, second by Supervisor Bruce Mullins. Any discussion or questions on the appointments? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay. Okay. One abstention noted by Supervisor Paler. Otherwise, the appointments are approved. We have no unfinished business. We have Adams County Chamber of Commerce report is included in the packet. And then we have Derek Smith's report. And Derek. Okay. Supervisor Edwards. You have your microphone on.
Thought I did. This report. Redevelopment resources. What type of report is this?
There we go. That's the study we commissioned for, it's the economic development study that's been mentioned a few times. So it's a thorough study of different initiatives the county could take to enhance economic development, housing, childcare, and things like that.
Supervisor Shapey.
Derek, could you also say how they differentiate themselves from the university, or I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly?
No, that's right. So university, or it was done by students. Redevelopment Resources is a professional organization that did it. So all the university projects were, I guess I'll liken them to assignments, where this was much more focused on what we wanted. The university projects, we could suggest things to them, and if they thought they could accomplish them, they would do them. And this is just a more professional study.
Thank you.
Okay. See no further questions. Thanks, Derek. Move on then to the county manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening. We're going to start out with, we'll begin with appreciation. A weather event on July 28th in the late evening caused a number of employees to have to jump into action. Bill Reynolds and Rich Huck were among them. They had to fix a few things. I go into detail on page 1 and 2 of their report. I also plan on having an after action review this month to kind of go over the event. What went right, what went wrong, showcase our strengths and address any concerns. So accolades to Rich Huck and Bill Reynolds, and thank you for a job well done. On page 2, capital projects. The Veterans Memorial wall has been poured. Still waiting for the cap to be poured. Landscape work also needs to be addressed. No dollars have been paid to the vendor thus far on this project. Quality Roofing is the vendor that's going to complete the work on our roof, and that is anticipated to be at the end of November. Paving at the fairgrounds is projected to be at the end of October. Parks Wi-Fi early 2024, or as soon as power is actually installed to some poles out there, supplied to poles. County Trunk Highway CC project, pulverize and pave versus the mill and overlay. The STPR, which is Surface Transportation Program rule for County Trunk Highway Z, has been approved. Page 3. I welcome in my new team member, Macy Glavin. Solid waste extended hours to better serve our commercial and citizen customers are mentioned. And a special thank you was received from the town of Rome for opening the county road for ATV, UTV usage. The City of Adams splash pad. So a meeting, I mentioned that there's a meeting that was on the calendar, so we actually did have the meeting here in August, and a draft memorandum of understanding is in the works. So it's en route to work its way through the city and then back to the county. And I'll report on that next month. Adams County Visionary Community Network met last month. We had great attendance and momentum is starting to really take shape now. The county board retreat, so mark your calendars for August 28th at 5 p.m. is going to be held at the Petenwell Park. Department head retreat, a month later, September 28th. Wisconsin Counties Association 2023 conference is September 17th through 19th. It seems like I only have 4 participants going as far as board members on that. And that concludes my report. If there's any questions.
Supervisor Postowski.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, I just had a question or two for Cynthia, if I may. Once again, I read over what Bill and Rich had to overcome, a lot of adversities that night, the 28th. Sounds like they were up to the wee hours of the night, so hopefully they ended up getting some sleep that night. 5, 6 in the morning, it looked like they were up there, so Thanks again for their hard work. And I noticed, solid waste has extended their hours. I believe it used to close at 3. Looks like it's open till 4 now. Can, anybody tell me why that was changed?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So the need for extending the hours helps to service our commercial customers. I was told that like early in the morning, they'd be waiting at the gate. And then this allows them to come in later now too, this commercial customers and also our citizens can now have better drop off times, drop off, whether it's early in the morning or in the afternoon or early evening, 4 PM. Yeah, and Saturday.
Thank you for that, Cynthia. Who makes that decision, or is that solid waste committee?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So yes, that's approved through Solid Waste Committee.
Thanks again, Cynthia.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Dozel, go ahead.
Again, a couple of questions. Number one, Cynthia, County Road M, any updates on that project?
Mr. Chair, I believe the only update I have on that is, would have been reported on last month's report, which was sent out. There wasn't a board meeting, so the actual report was actually emailed to everyone. I haven't heard any hiccups, so I'm assuming that everything that has been planned is going through. I know that utilities was an issue. It seems like the first phase is okay and it's in the works. So I don't have an update as far as like today, but if there was a problem, I would have heard about it.
Supervisor Bork might be able to answer something from the highway committee.
At the highway committee last week, they've got the first phase, basically the earth moving done and the base course. They were gonna be crushing and putting base course down end of last week or this week. And then they were gonna start on the second phase coming from G up to 4th Drive. I believe this year they plan on getting up that far with the second phase.
Will M be reopened before winter?
Yes.
Thank you.
Supervisor Scott Pease.
Cynthia, mine's more of a clarification. You said that no vendors have been paid out to the memorial. That ain't Adams County paying anything out as of right now. How much is left of that? Do we have to pay of it?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I believe the amount that was earmarked for that project was 45,000 coming from ARPA.
Correct. So nothing has been paid out of that.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
that is correct.
Thank you.
Supervisor Shapey.
I just had another question for County Manager Higgard. When it comes to ARPA funds, ARPA funds that are promised, such as the splash pad, if the splash pad does not move forward, where do the funds come back to the county?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
so that is going to be the case with some of the ARPA that has been committed thus far. There are projects all out lined up, and if they come in under budget, which some of them are, then that money goes back to the pool to be allocated back out. And again, we have until December 2024 to commit and December 2026 to actually use it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, seeing no further questions. Are there any questions on the committee reports?
Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Dozel, go ahead.
Solid Waste had a meeting on 7/13, but those notes are not posted. Is there a reason for that? Or 7/11, sorry, not 7/13.
No, they weren't finished in time for the report. The clerk is informing me. They had not seen them.
When can we expect to see those? It's August 15th.
Yeah, I mean, when the clerk gets them, she could make sure that they're posted for, it'll be on next month's report, but she can make sure she copies all the supervisors on them. So if you have questions on them, you can contact the county manager or the solid waste director.
So is it the county clerk who puts those notes together, or is that the committee that puts them together?
The committee puts them together, but then the county clerk posts them into the report.
Okay, is there any type of obligation for timely reporting from the committee? I mean, the concern I have is this is kind of a hot topic. Still getting a lot of feedback from citizens, and we're missing the notes from one of the most talked about things in the county right now.
I don't know if the solid waste director's on the call or not. Clerk is just checking. So they can be accessed. Supervisor Dozel, the minutes are on your open drive.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see the screen that the
Yep.
clerk has there. So she has them right here.
All right. I'll look those up. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, Supervisor Dozel?
Nope, that was it. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no further questions, we'll move on to ordinances. When the clerk is ready, please read ordinance number 15.
Ordinance 15, 2023, amendment of the Adams County zoning ordinance. On April 28th, 2023, Harley Ray Miller and Ruth Miller petitioned the Adams County Board of Supervisors to amend the Adams County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance rezone for a parcel 1506 acres from A3 Secondary Agriculture District to B1 Rural Business District, plus and minus 2 acres, and A115 Exclusive Agriculture District, plus and minus 13 acres, the town of Easton. A public hearing was held on August 2nd in the Adams County Planning Committee after evaluating all data and evidence presented. The public hearing amended the application to rezone the entire property to A115 and recommends enactment of the proposed zoning change. Recommended for enactment by the Adams County Planning and Zoning Committee on the second day of August 2023, Paler, Turco, Dozel, Knockreiner, Shapey, Crivillo, Thiessen.
Motion to enact by Supervisor Gilner, second by Supervisor Paler. We have ordinance number 15 on the floor. Supervisor McLaughlin.
All right, I'm looking at my agenda. I cannot get let me open up so I can actually look at it. Okay, I just have to say the way this is posted, like on the agenda, I mean, you all know my familiarity with the department. I don't even understand what it means. Okay, so we have a parcel that is 15.06 acres. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, and it's what I'm looking at, it says it's being rezoned from A3 to A115. Is that correct?
Yes.
I thought she said B1. No.
Corp counsel, you wanna-
You said that you thought that it, excuse me, yes. You said that you thought it was read as B1?
Yeah. When she read it, I'm pretty darn sure that's what I heard.
Where they petitioned for it, but then it was changed.
Anybody else hear the same thing?
Okay.
Good.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and that the reason for that is that's what they had originally petitioned for. So that's what's in the what they originally petitioned for, and then it was amended
To
A1.
to A1.
A115.
Correct.
Okay, so all right, so there's a 1506 acre parcel that got rezoned from A3 to A115. That's the proposal.
That's what you're doing, yes.
Okay, what does that next statement mean? Exclusive ag district plus / minus 13 acres. And so on. What is that? Can somebody tell me what that means?
That again, and I'll do, that's what they originally applied for. That's
that
not what
isn't-
was-
That's not an application. That's a, that,
If you review the, or and Dusty, if you want to explain.
well, yeah,
You know,
because I don't understand what that statement means.
So on the agenda, that was, the original request read as 13 acres for the, A115 and, plus or minus 2 acres for B1. When the county board agenda was typed up, it was worded to what the new request was, and the 13 plus or minus was inadvertently left in. Correct.
Does
The-
make a lot more sense.
The actual ordinance sheet that I think you all are looking at that was signed, that is perfectly correct. It's the agenda item shouldn't have that, what's in the parentheses in there.
Okay, that makes complete sense that that doesn't belong. No, I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Please vote.
Total is all yes. Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if you heard me, but total is all yes.
Yes. Nineteen, yes. Correcting.
Okay. Ordinance number 15 is enacted. When the clerk is ready, we'll move on to resolution number 25.
Resolution to amend the 2023 Adams County budget. Recommended for adoption by the Admin and Finance Committee the 7th day of August, 2023. West, Paler, RPs, Gabarsky, SPs.
Supervisor Paler, motion to approve, adopt, and second by Supervisor Scott Pease. So we have resolution number 25 on the floor. Discussion or questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Supervisor Dozel.
I'm wondering if Kyle would be able to explain just Cliff Notes, short version, the
Okay,
purpose of this.
is the finance director on the line?
Yep, Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I am on. Yeah, so with the change in Wisconsin statutes on how tax deed foreclosures are paid out, the county can no longer net the profit, if you will. So we have to pay that back to the original owner. So through clarification throughout the end of last year, early this year, we ended up paying out 2022's tax deed foreclosures this year, which was around $200,000. And then we anticipate we're going to pay out 2023's tax deed foreclosures this year. So this is just to increase the expense budget for paying out those tax deed foreclosures to the previous owners. And then with the interest income that the treasurer has been receiving, that interest income is going to offset those expenses.
Thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome.
Supervisor McLaughlin.
Thank you. This is for Kyle. Does the county able to keep retention of costs for publications and all that things they have to go through? Okay, all right. I'm getting, see it, heads nodding, yes, okay.
Okay,
That was it.
yes.
Thank you.
It was county manager.
Mr. Chair, I was just gonna officially answer yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Supervisor Wimmer?
Yeah, so was this an ongoing thing with the state that, we didn't know the statutes or the laws?
The statutes changed after the budget was adopted.
Okay, so it kind of came late then and,
Yes.
all right, thank you.
Okay. See no further questions. Please vote.
Dolazal, yes.
This will require 2/3 votes since it is amending the budget, so. Supervisor Carlson? Does a hand mean yes? Okay, thank you.
Eighteen yes, one no, Gabarsky.
Did you vote yes or no, Supervisor Kubarski, just for clarification? Okay. Okay. Resolution number 25 is adopted. When the clerk is ready, we'll move on to resolution number 26.
Resolution 26, 2023, resolution petitioning the Secretary of Transportation for airport improvement aid, introduced by the Adams County Airport Commission and the Adams County Property Committee, recommended for adoption by the Property Committee this 14th day of August, 2023. Gilner, Paler, Baker.
Motion to adopt by Supervisor Gilner, second by Supervisor Paler. So we have resolution number 26 on the floor. Any discussion or questions? Supervisor Postowski?
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes.
I'd like to point out that there is a 5 to 10% variable that will be matched county liability due to unknown funding to come from state or the federal government. It wasn't clear in yesterday's property meeting where these funds are coming from, which is why I voted no.
And the discussion for that is, and the match, the fiscal note was revised a little bit, probably from what the committee saw, because I questioned the match, and as it's listed here, it could be up to a 5% match, but this is not approving those funds at this time. It's just approving the airport committee to go ahead and look at projects. And when that project, if they find a project, then it will have to come back for approval from the board for the money. So, okay, just for clarification. Supervisor Paler?
Kyle did inform us where the money was coming from in our budget also.
Okay. Any other questions? Supervisor Wimmer?
Yeah, so since I've been on the board, I've really know nothing about what goes on at the airport. I was hoping to get a little bit of an explanation in the property committee. I did ask some questions. It seems like most of the funds for the airport come from the federal government, if I'm not mistaken. And there seemed to be quite a list out there for things that I guess I would have to call it a wish list. And being a wish list, 5% that the county is responsible could go a long ways to create debt for the county. So I don't I think this whole resolution lacks maybe the thought that it needs to have. I've been told that, you know, this is how we've done it in the past. You know, don't worry about it. The government will take care of everything. But I do like to know when we're spending money, and I know this is just a resolution, but this starts you down the road, that I like to know a little bit about more specific plans for the airport, and I have not seen those as yet. So with that in mind, I can't vote yes for this resolution. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Dozel.
Yes, thank you, sir. In reviewing this resolution, like Supervisor Wimmer, I am more than a little, I'm very concerned with the lack of clarity in the request. And the acceptance of, shall we say, or definitions that are not clearly defined as far as what we're committing to in the long run. If you notice at the bottom, there are things that we are saying that we will agree to from a government regulation and oversight, but there's lacks all clarity as to what exactly we are signing up for or agreeing to. Along with many of the other ordinances that come before the board, this has been something that I've been trying to get across for a while. Is I think that if we're going to commit to things, or we need more details, we need more clarity, we need specifics, and I have a hard time backing or supporting this because of that lack of clarity. So just want to put that out there. There's not really a question, but a statement. Excuse me. As we continue to see much of the same, as it lacks clarity and specifics that I feel are necessary for these types of transactions. Thank you for listening.
Supervisor Kubarski.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe we had that information that came across for this board quite some time ago when we talked about why it had to be lengthened, the area that it was going to be lengthened, the plan of work for that to happen. We've already had that information. It's not like it hasn't been clarified up to this point. And again, we're looking at something here that if it aids the airport, I was involved with some things, and to use this with certain types of aircraft, it's not capable of handling these jets and so forth. So we have to go to a different area. So quite honestly, I think we've had that information. And if someone wants to point out that we didn't, I'd be happy to listen.
Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Dozel. I know Supervisor Pease wanted to speak.
I can wait.
And
I thought
I would assume the person behind you is the airport manager?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
yes, Rob Brown.
Yes. Do you want? Okay, Mr. Brown, go right ahead.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Rob Brown. I took over as the airport manager beginning of this year in January, and this process is fairly new to me too, but for the way I understand it, this 6-year improvement cycle is just a formality that the state goes through for the Department of Transportation for allocating funds and improvements for the airports in the state. And the last resolution that was passed here in the county for our improvements was in 2014. So that expired in 2020. And with COVID and the slowing down of projects and things, everything was kind of put on hold for a while. So all this resolution is going to do is allow us to begin the process for improvements at the airport. Yes, it is kind of a blanket statement. We put down per se a wish list, but If you don't put it down, then you have to make another resolution again to cover a different project. So I mean, this packet came from the Bureau of Transportation, and this is how they say fill it out and go through the process. So we're following the procedures that they set in place. No money will be spent or any projects approved until they begin working, get an approved resolution to begin that process. The last projects we're wrapping up that was a lengthy project was the land acquisition over there at the mobile home park. There was some issues that took longer, and that process was, a 5 or 6 year project that's should be finished this year. And then we'll start with new improvements down the road. And they've stated to me that we don't have an airport master plan, and to get any more funding from the state or FAA, we need to, one of the first requirements we'll have is update an airport master plan. And this will be, a multi-year process, couple of years, because it is in the neighborhood of $200,000 to $300,000. They told me on average. Now it depends upon every airport how big it is. We're a small general use airport, so it may not be as big, but there are procedures and steps you have to go through to get this done. So, we're not asking for any money. We're just asking for the permission to go forward with the process to start improvements back again at the airport. Our resolution cycle expired in 2020.
Supervisor Rick Pease, did you want to comment then, or?
Well, I guess he answered, kind of said what I was gonna say is, this is for all new projects, just has nothing to do with the old project that we're just finishing up. So he actually said what I thought was right.
Supervisor Scott Pease, did you have something?
I had the same thing. This is two separate things, correct? I mean, what Bob was talking about, that's the project already ongoing. We've already allocated some money for it, I think. And this is starting something new, correct?
Yes. We'll go first rounds yet for Supervisor Paler.
I just like to reiterate that there's no projects that are going to be started unless they come before the committee and get approved first. This is just to get all this funding in place.
Supervisor Shapey.
So I guess maybe I didn't read this correctly. So people are saying that projects weren't defined, but in number 2, the character, extent, and kind of improvements desired under the projects are as follows. And then it goes through with what the gentleman said, the master plan, the taxi lanes, I think might be what Supervisor Grabarski was talking about. Are these projects that would go in the 6-year plan for the 5% match?
Airport
Mr.
manager?
Chair,
Yes.
that's correct. And the taxiway improvement program was actually allocated and finished during the last cycle in the 2020 cycle. However, it was never executed because the resolution expired. So the way I understand it, we will be able to get the taxi improvement program completed under the old cycle, but we just have to have this resolution to go forward. Probably the next project after that would be the airport master plan, because like I said, the Bureau of Aeronautics requiring that all airports that receive federal and state funding have an airport master plan in place, which Adams County currently does not have. We've never had one.
Okay, so we're paying backwards for the one improvement and we're looking forward for the next projects. Okay. All right. Thank you. Oop, one more.
Go ahead.
Supervisor Paler said it goes before the committee, but actually it comes also before the board, correct? Because that's any future projects will come before the board for consideration, full county board.
If it needs a project that needs a resolution, if not, it would be in the budget.
Okay, thank you.
I would believe. County manager.
Mr. Chair, what I could offer you is, so our capital money that's in there now is 30,000. And so if that represents 5%, you're looking at a $600,000 project. And what was mentioned earlier was a 200,000 to 300,000 for the master plan. That is process number 1 to get the master plan done. So, I mean, the dollars have been identified, but for this specific resolution, it's just a commitment to commit, if you will. Any future projects do come forward as a resolution, so resolutions do come to the board. with dollar amounts. You'll
Thank
see the 5% match and then we'll say where the funding is coming from. You know now that I'm sharing with you, 30,000 a year is going into the capital for the airport. And so that represents 600,000 worth of commitment for a project
Thank you.
at 5%.
Supervisor Wimmer, and then Supervisor Dozal, you can go after Supervisor Wimmer if you have additional questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know, Manager Brown is, taken over there and I can understand that probably all his ducks aren't in a row, but it seems to me there's even some confusion about Bob. He's talking about an old project and now we're talking about things that are new project. I guess if I'm gonna approve something that we're gonna be responsible for, I would like to know more specifics in the plan. Like, do you need a new snow removal machine? Do you need new mowing equipment? You know, what are the needs at the airport? So far in the committee, I would have hoped we would have had just the information we had here tonight, but we didn't. We had a resolution said that if we don't pass it, the airport will come to a screeching halt. I guarantee you, there's nothing in this county when it comes to money comes to a screeching halt. And I think we need to start addressing these things before we go down the pipeline with these resolutions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Dozal.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, kind of timing on to what Mr. or Supervisor Wimmer had to say. I've been assured through watching many solid waste broadcasts that it would have to go before the county board before a decision was made. So I've got a little bit of a lack of trust there in believing that anything would be required to come before the county board for approval. So I'd like to see things more clearly written and spelled out. Not that I'm opposed to improving the airport or any of the things that need to be done. But much in line with what Mr. Wimmer has to say, I'd like to see specifically what those things are, what the cost is, and when it will be completed before I could sign on to something along those lines. So I apologize if this is something that you're counting on, but I just need more clarity on things that I'm going to put my name behind. So thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Mr. Chair, Airport, I would just say, I wouldn't want you to base your trust on me on the experience you had with other committees or within the county and stuff, because I'll make sure that you get the information you need to make the decisions you make and make sure that the county's money is properly spent, you know, and everyone will know what the cost is. It's just, when we stop doing stuff for 6 years, so costs definitely go up. And that's why things have, you know, they're finally starting to get back to normal business. All we're asking for is a resolution to move forward to be able to do that and make improvements at our airport. And I think, you know, that's not asking too much. The airport provides a good service here to the community, you know, for medevac, for firefighting. There's all different kinds of things. It brings in small business, you know, we sell fuel, brings people in. We got people coming from Canada, California, you name it. I can show you the airport log. So people do use the airport. It's a beautiful little airport. Want to make it better. That's my goal down the road. And I will work with you, the county board, however I have to do that and make sure you guys are well informed.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Corp Counsel.
just from the legal aspect, to let everyone know, this is what the federal government is requiring. This is their resolution. We had to draft it this way. So as again, has been stated, it's not going to any specific project right now. It's got the general projects and not the specific dollar amounts. Those will have to come back. But this is just what is requiring to get the process going. And this is the form and the way that it had to be drafted per the federal government.
Supervisor Dozal, do you have another, you were going to say something there?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to clarify for, I apologize to the gentleman from the airport. I just want to be clear. Nothing that I had to say is pointed towards you or anything along those lines. I've never met you. I don't know you. So I'm not passing any judgment on you. I'd like to be clear about that. I appreciate what you're doing out there. And again, my issues are more along the lines of how we have been operating as a county board. Thank you.
Supervisor Wimmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with Mr. Brown, Manager Brown completely. I would like to see any needs at the airport move forward. I would hope, though, that you would come with maybe some specific needs that you think need to be done immediately. Not a wish list exactly, but things that need to be done. And then I'd take a lot more optimistic look at this resolution. But we seem to do a lot of these things, and as Supervisor Dolezal said, they never seem, sometimes they never come back to this board. They just have legs of their own. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So I'd like to address this. These projects will come to this board because it's coming in the form of a resolution. Resolutions must go to the board for approval. Okay, so the committee approves a resolution, it moves on to the board. That is how this is going to operate. These projects that are listed here are very broad, specifically broad, so that he can identify projects as part of the master plan. We can't get those projects that are being requested and to identify and know what horizon is involved with these projects being completed without getting a master plan first. And that is the first project that's going to be incorporated here. And I believe that is listed out here separate. But we just we don't have a dollar amount because we first have to get this resolution, which says that the county wishes to commit to a commitment of 5%. And you did hear earlier that the range could be from 5 to 10. But those resolutions come forward when a project has been identified, it does come forward. So resolution is what causes it to have to go to a board. Committee to board, resolutions.
Is there a timeline on this? Is this, this resolution that we're discussing today, is there a timeline when this has to be in?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
there's no definitive timeline, but the longer we wait, the longer we get behind schedule. Like right now, they're coming up into the bidding cycle, for next year's projects and stuff. So like I say, all they're gonna do is they will commit the resources to fund our projects. They'll come up with a project, identify it. They'll let us know what our costs are. They'll assign engineering company and everything to work with us. We choose who we want to do the project. But no, there's no timeline, but I mean, the longer we kick this down the road, the longer it's going to take. We've gone since 2020. We haven't made a resolution or updated resolution for this work. And I just want to get stuff going again because everything takes time and money doing these projects. The money's there. I can tell you that, and the state does a wonderful job of allocating the money, but you have to put in and apply for these projects to get the funding for it.
Supervisor Mullins.
I'd just like to clarify something. So in fact, if our airport director came forward and said, we have a project that costs $100,000, we have $95,000 from the state and the federal government, our portion would be 5,000. So on $100,000 project that would be approved to be done, after he's done his work, our commitment would be $5,000 to that project.
And that's a yes. I see people shaking their heads, so people that can't. Yes. Okay. Supervisor Edwards.
My only comment is this resolution is not asking for any money. It's just asking for permission to move forward on their ability to get a master plan. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair.
Plus other projects.
Yeah, any project, any improvement project done at the airport for the next 6 years. This resolution, once it's passed through the state, it'll expire in 6 years and we'll have to go through this process again in 6 years to start it over.
Okay. Please vote then on resolution number 26. Supervisor Dozel.
Yes.
Okay.
17 yes, 2 no. Weimer Podolsky.
Okay. Resolution number 26 is adopted. We have no denials or petitions. Do I have a motion to approve the claims previously read by the clerk, Supervisor Churko? Second by Supervisor Mullins. All in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay. Claims are approved as read. Clerk, please read per diem and mileage.
Churko 141.92, Paler 122.13, Gilner 132.75, Weimer 132.75, SPs 106.55, Podolsky 120.96, Shapey 112.45, Dozel 109.04, Crevilio 106.55, Egersdorf 102.62, Bork 117.03, Edwards 100, RPs 100, West 108.75, Moans 107.86, Grabarski 113.10, Carlson 118.34, Baker 126.20, and McLaughlin 126.20. Total 2,205.20.
Do I have a motion to approve? Supervisor Paler, second by Supervisor Mullins. All in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay. Per diem and mileage are approved.
Make a motion for the county clerk to correct any and all errors and read back at the next meeting if so requested.
Do I have a second? Second by Supervisor Paler. All in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion is approved. Next meeting date is the retreat on the 28th at 5 o'clock at Paintwell Park. So if you saw the agenda, Attorney Andy Phillips and Sarah Dietrich Kaseldorf, or I don't know how you pronounce your last name, will be presenting there, looking at questions. I will, would like them to come and answer questions. We had a lot of questions about abstentions, recalling a vote from the previous one, and other items like that is what they're going to cover. Also with roles of the board. But if you have any additional things or questions that you would like them to answer about the board's functions or meeting functions or anything like that, I don't know if you have Andy Phillips' email address. If you don't, I can, the county manager will send just out Andy Phillips' contact information so you can email him and give him at least a heads up. So if he needs to prepare something or look something up for you, he can have it when he's at the meeting. But hopefully we have an interactive meeting with him and Sarah, and you can answer, ask questions freely and get answers to your questions on, how we work our board meetings and committee meetings or anything along those lines. So, okay. Otherwise, seeing nothing else, I declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.